Problem, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right, there we go.
So yeah,
Okay.
Susanne is in Hong Kong. She is a Chinese metaphysics superstar. I was very, very lucky.
No pressure, yeah.
Susanne is very modest, but she is the only Chinese metaphysics master in the world that is non-Chinese and is a woman and has years of experience. She comes from a corporate background, so her approach is very very specific and is very targeted to make things work. There's no fluffy, airy-fairy stuff. It's like coaching. So she takes you from A to Z with all. Hi, Charlotte.
Hello.
So I'm just giving a little intro about Susanne. So she takes you from A to Z with very clear steps and in a very business-like manner. So it's just very effective and just very targeted, which is what I love, because it's more like coaching. So she tells you what to do it, but at the end it's up to the person to really implement the recommendations. But I guarantee this works. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. And you all, whoever goes to gets a report like this. I just want to show you. I mean, it's 78 pages long. It's amazing. It's very.
You don't have to read all of it.
No. Well, I did. So I highlighted all my. I studied it like a Bible. It has lots of highlights and things. Yeah, really. I know this from cover to end. It's very interesting. But anyway, without further ado, please, Susanne.
All right. Well, thank you. That was quite an introduction. I hope I can I can fulfill the expectations that have been put up on me. So, right. So as Lisa mentioned, I'm a Chinese metaphysics master and I am based in Hong Kong. Now, Chinese metaphysics is sort of like an umbrella term for, sorry, I'm just going to mute Roshni. Chinese metaphysics is for anything that has to do with Chinese astrology, Feng Shui, Chinese date selection, Qimen Dunjia, all of these things. So it's all, it's an umbrella term essentially. And they're all different disciplines. And today what we're going to focus on is the Feng Shui aspect of it all. Because, you know, we all have different needs and wants in life. Some of us want to become healthier. Some of us want to have a happier family. Some of us want to make more money or have a bigger house or find a relationship. And then obviously there's also those who want to have a child or become better parents. So there's all sorts of needs and wants anybody can have. And all of this can be addressed or can be helped with Feng Shui or Chinese metaphysics. Now, as I said, we are focusing more or mostly on the Feng Shui part today. So if you just look at your life and kind of reflect on what it is that you actually want more of, certainly there's at least one or two things that need improvement and where you think, okay, I've kind of done everything, yeah, from a sort of like a human activity or human action perspective. I've done everything I can think of, and still things are not really moving into the direction that I want to go in. And that's usually when Feng Shui comes in. So rather than just going like this and, you know, hoping that we're doing the right thing, in situations like these, we use Chinese metaphysics. Chinese metaphysics is not something that is super esoteric or is like airy-fairy and fluffy. It's actually a problem-solving tool. And rather than just telling you, okay, just think positive or, you know, maybe put a lucky cat in the corner, things like that, we really give you very specific action steps that you need to take. And with Feng Shui, they're usually fairly straightforward. You know, maybe you just need to put your desk somewhere else. Or maybe you just need to make sure that you kind of block the front door from direct access to the back door, yeah, if it's in a straight line, so that the qi or the energy doesn't flow in and out. That's a common problem And that usually, or that very often leads to massive expenses, for example. So it's very practical. And we don't need any sort of funny gadgets that you need to place all around your house. So these are the modalities I practice. So Bazi is the Bazi astrology part. Then we've got date selection that sort of like looks at when you have to do a specific activity to boost the results. Eating is more spiritual, Qimen Dunjia as well. And then obviously Feng Shui. Feng Shui is the part of metaphysics that ushers in opportunities. And without opportunities, obviously, we are quite stuck in life because especially as business owners, and a lot of you here are business owners, as I understand, you need opportunities to thrive. So this is where Feng Shui comes in. Now, one of the reasons Feng Shui is very, very important right now is because in 2024, so this year, we have what we in Chinese metaphysics call entered the period 9, yeah, the lower period 9. This is a period that lasts for 20 years, so from 2024 to 2043. And in those 20 years, any and all Feng Shui remedies that you have used, implemented previously, will no longer work. The energies are completely different. Lots of the energies have shifted to the point where they become much, much more aggressive. Yeah, because it is associated with the fire element. And I mean, you only need to turn on the TV to see how period 9 is already developing. Yeah, everything is getting faster. Everything is speeding up. There's a lot of conflict in the world, which is also associated with period 9. And a lot of times, what I see right now is that people struggle to sort of adapt to this new energy that has come into our life. We were used to things developing fairly slowly, and we could maybe not take our time, but we didn't have to rush into decision makings. But this is all changed now. The fire period is one where energy is speeding up. Yeah, like the fire. You light a fire somewhere and you turn around, turn your back to it. 1 minute later, it's already engulfed the entire block. So this is why we need to completely adapt our energetic field, not just from a personal perspective, but also from a space perspective. So this is where classical Feng Shui comes in, yeah? Again, you can prepare yourself on a personal level with, let's say, Feng Shui for the changes that we are encountering right now. And you may know what you have to do, but somehow it just doesn't seem to work, or you're getting stuck. And that is usually because even though you on a mental basis, from a mental point of view, have adapted, your space has not adapted or has not been adjusted yet. So you're completely out of alignment. And this is what we're trying to fix with Feng Shui. So, we kind of try to align the energy level to what you actually need in life. We've all encountered situations, let's say, where you've walked into a space, be that residential or commercial, and you just didn't feel right. Something was off, and you couldn't really put your finger on it. It was just you couldn't really calm down, you couldn't really relax. Maybe it was in an office, and somehow you just couldn't focus on work, and you worked much better from home, or vice versa nowadays. So these feelings of unsettled energies, although not tangible, we feel them on many different levels, and they can lead to unproductivity. They can lead to just fear of doing things. They can lead to sadness, low energy, anger, all of these unpleasant feelings or emotions that don't really help us move forward. And so with Feng Shui, we kind of make sure that we can shift the energy level from what you see here as 0, where you have like very low energies, to a higher frequency, where you suddenly feel passion about what you're doing, where you're suddenly feeling like, yes, I'm in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, and where you feel that you can accomplish things and you're not afraid. You feel confident. And so especially as business owners, we all need this feeling. And especially if you have an office, or let's say you have a health practice, or you have a company, you need people to feel comfortable when they walk into your space. Otherwise, they're not going to come back. So this is where Feng Shui can help with. Now, traditionally, Feng Shui basically looks at the interaction between mountain and water. Most people think Feng Shui is an internal thing where we just look at the internal setup, and then we put a lucky cat somewhere in the corner and the red carpet somewhere else, and then everything will be fine. But that's not actually what real Feng Shui is all about. Real Feng Shui first evaluates the environment your space is located in. And we take precise measurements with a specific Feng Shui compass to check where the energy, or where the positive energy, is actually incoming. And the qi is generated by the interactions of mountains and water. Whenever the two come together, they produce life force, life energy. And with these compass measurements, we can actually determine where exactly this energy spot is and how we direct it into your house. So this Feng Shui that everybody talks about doesn't happen inside your home. It actually happens outside. Yeah, you don't have mountains and water inside your home. So this is the first step, yeah, the evaluation of landforms to check what is actually available, what you can tap into. Now, I know you guys live in Dubai, and you may look at this picture and you're going to be like, well, it doesn't look quite like this in Dubai. And I'm aware, I've been in Dubai many times. So Dubai very often looks more like this. But even here, you have mountains, albeit not with snow on top. Yeah, you have undulating sand dunes, for example, and Dubai is not entirely flat. In places like Dubai, where you do not have visible, or very often not visible, mountains, we work with the concept of just checking for elevation. And even in Dubai, you have elevation, yeah? Anything that is higher than the actual sea level is an elevation. And you have water in Dubai. You may not have a lot of natural water, but you have the Dubai Creek, you have the canal, you have a lot of artificial lakes, you have swimming pools. So all of these features are considered water features. And so this helps us from a Feng Shui perspective, again, to determine where the energy is being created and how we can funnel it into your house. We do work with completely different Feng Shui formulas than in an area like an environment like Hong Kong, where we do have very visible mountains. So Feng Shui is very flexible. We look at the geography of a place, and depending on the geography and the availability and visibility of landforms, we deploy different formulas. So the Feng Shui setup is usually is done quite simply. First, we check for qi coverage. Yeah, it's kind of like you have to have sort of like a Wi-Fi router first. The environment is your Wi-Fi router, and you have to make sure that there's a signal. Yeah. So this is what we look at. The environment is the qi coverage. Do you have a signal or not? In very, very rare cases, there's no signal, but that really happens very rarely. And if your space didn't have any Feng Shui whatsoever, you probably wouldn't even be there, because you would feel so uncomfortable that nothing would keep you there. So no matter how much qi or life force energy or coverage you have in the space that is available to you, we can always maximize it, or at least optimize it. So we check, is there actually any qi coverage in that sense? And then we look at how does it flow into the house? How does it flow into the apartment or the office or the shopping mall or the shop? And once we know how the qi flows, how the life force flows, then we can manage it. Then we look at, okay, so once it reaches our space, does it flow in a nice, gentle way? In which case we may have to push it a little bit and activate it a little bit? Or is it too aggressive, in which case we need to slow it down. We need to make sure that we redirect it in such a way that it becomes much more what we call sentimental. Yeah, so this is what we call qi management. And this is something that happens inside your home. Now, when you look at this picture here, you see these 5 buildings, and they're all the same buildings. They seem to have all the same sort of directionality. But when they look out their windows, they see different landforms. And in fact, only the building that is labeled with A is the one that receives perfect feng shui, that practically needs 0 qi management. All the other buildings, B, C, D, and E, they will need adjustments. So it's not that they're completely out of sync, but they're slightly misaligned, in which case we need to make many more changes inside. And by that, I don't mean we need to knock down walls or whatever. Yeah, this is not necessarily needed in most cases. We can do qi management with other means, depending on the house itself and the space. So this is what it looks like. Yeah, you may live next to a really, really rich neighbor, and you're thinking, my God, my house is right next door. It's looking in the same direction, but somehow, why am I not getting rich? Yeah, so maybe you're just slightly off in terms of the qi flow. And once that is corrected, you can do just as well as your neighbor. Now, feng shui can be used in many, many different scenarios. So we can use it for industrial spaces, factories, workshops, any sort of industrial space, in which case we would focus on the management office, obviously, and where the most important people that work in this industrial space sit. The operations office, the production head, staff quarters, not so much unless you have staff actually living on site, and then obviously where the machinery is located, because you don't want your machinery to break down all the time. So that's also something that feng shui can help with. Home, very simple. We look at the kitchen, the main door, sometimes the balcony, the bedrooms, and the study. There in feng shui, there's a big misconception that we need to look at the bathrooms and the toilets and the storage rooms and all of that. That is completely unnecessary. Yeah, we don't focus on this. The 3 main areas are kitchen, main door, and bedroom. And if someone happens to work from home, we also look at the study or the home office. Yeah, those are the most important areas because this is where you spend most of your time. We can obviously also look at office space, regardless of the industry. And there, then we look at the mission critical staff. The reception is very, very important because this is what we call the qi mouth. Yeah, the mouth of the office where the whole energy flows in. We make sure that this main entry point of qi receives the best energies possible and then disperses throughout the office. If you are a finance institution, obviously, we would focus on the area where actually the financial transactions are being done. Yeah, I just recently did the trading floor of the Royal Bank of Canada here in Hong Kong. And there you just need to make sure that you adjust the qi flow to make sure that that the losses are minimized, of course, right? Depending on what industry you're in, we're focusing on different things. If we're dealing with an IT company, we're not focusing so much on the finance aspect. We're focusing more on innovation, yeah, making sure that someone innovates new products, new apps, new systems, yeah, these kind of things. But usually we discuss this with the client first, what is actually needed, or maybe where are the pain points. A lot of times, a company has very, very specific pain points. Certain departments just don't work as well for whatever reason as others. And so that's where we then focus our energy on. And then obviously a retail space, any type of retail space can also be adjusted in terms of feng shui. So you may have areas in your shop where you want to, you know, sell merchandise that is difficult to sell. And so in an area like this, you need an extra boost of energy so that people actually go there and somehow feel compelled to buy, even though they wouldn't probably buy it if it were in a completely different part of the store. So all these things can be manipulated with feng shui. Now, as I mentioned, in your home, which is what most people focus on first, we look at the kitchen, and in the kitchen itself, it's mostly the stove. Yeah, we're not really concerned with any other appliances or any other areas within the kitchen. It's the stove itself. In the bedroom, it's the beds. Yeah, not the entire bedroom, just the bed itself. Then the main door is very important because just like I explained earlier with the reception in an office, the main door is the Qi mouth for your home. This is where all the energy comes in. So from there, we need to make sure that it's dispersed nicely throughout the entire area. And then obviously the home office. A lot of people since COVID have migrated to just working from home. And this is actually ideal because from a feng shui perspective, if you work from home, you have full control over where you're going to sit. If you work in an office or maybe a co-working space, that's not always so easy. Maybe your boss tells you you need to sit over there at this particular desk, regardless of whether it's good or bad for you or whether you feel comfortable there or not. You just have to sit there. And you can't just tell your boss, well, that's really bad feng shui. It doesn't work for me. Usually they're going to look at you funny, unless you're in Hong Kong. Yeah, then that's perfectly fine. But anywhere else, you can't really say that. So working from home has the benefit that you can really align your entire home or your entire house in such a way that it benefits your business. And this is very, very powerful. And then in some instances, we look at the balcony as well as a secondary Qi mouth. Maybe the main door is affected by a negative feature or some sort of building structure that is not so beneficial. Then we can still look at the balcony and see whether there's better life force Qi coming in through the balcony. Now, here's just a quick case study of a business that I've looked at in the past, just to show you how easy it actually is to fix something with feng shui. So this is a wellness center. And at the time, they just had this space that is marked in red. Yeah, this was the entire space, just this space here in red. And this wellness center includes a kitchen in the back. And the stove was here, yeah, in this green circle. Well, I'm circling it now in blue. So this is where the stove was located. And everything went well. Yeah, the wellness center was doing very well. They were making money and everybody was happy. Then what happened was they decided that they needed a bigger kitchen. And so they added this structure that is here, in pink. And because the kitchen now suddenly became larger, they also decided to shift the stove to this new location here, circled in green. About a month after they did that, suddenly they were struck with several legal cases, completely out of the blue, completely unexpected, something that they had never anticipated. And it was actually also not their fault. It was really completely random. And so they were struggling on 2 or 3 separate fronts with lawyers about certain things that, yeah, and none of it was their fault. So that's the interesting part. They had actually not done anything wrong. It was just that someone thought they were being wronged and sued them. And so at that point, because they really didn't know what else to do, they had lawyers and everything, but they were bleeding money. At that point, they came to me and they asked for a feng shui assessment. And so I did the Feng Shui assessment, and the problem was literally the only problem that that was there in terms of Feng Shui was the location of the stove. They had placed the stove in an area with a lot of energies that we call litigation and argument energies. And the fire of the stove, because it was an open flame sort of stove, continuously activated these sorts of energies. And so that was the reason for why this suddenly sprung up the moment they had changed their kitchen around. So maintaining the size, the new size of the kitchen, and this new addition, we then decided to put the stove over here, shift it over here. We could not put it back into its original position. Yeah, it used to be here. We could not put it back here because the floor plan had changed due to this addition that they put in. So everything was a little bit out of balance, but we shifted the stove over here. And once we had done that, about 2 months later, all 3 of those law cases disappeared. Because this area here was an energy that pertains to harmony, good relationships, and what we call in Chinese metaphysics, noble people. Noble people are people who help us in life. And so once we had shifted the stove, they started contacting friends, people who could help them in the industry and, you know, start making better connections. And somehow they found in each one of those 3 legal cases, they found someone who could help them mitigate basically a disaster. And the judge or the judges in those 3 cases, they all struck down the cases. And that happened within 2 months from actually rectifying this issue with Feng Shui. So as you can see, a very easy solution. There was no funny object placed anywhere, no lucky wind chime or whatever you have in the new age Feng Shui. None of that is necessary. We just evaluate the qi flow. We check where the root cause of the problem is, and then we make sure that we eliminate that root cause. And very often, you don't need to make that many big changes. So this is how this works. Very, very easy. Now, when should you get a Feng Shui audit? So whenever you're moving to a new space, that's one of the ideal scenarios. Ideally before you move in, because then we can make the changes, or I can advise you on where you need to put what to avoid problems from the get-go. Also, if you feel like there's something not right in your home or your office, but again, you can't quite put your finger on it. It's just maybe you can't sleep for whatever reason, even with sleeping pills or God knows what, you just can't sleep, or you can't focus, you can't concentrate. Maybe your kids have ADHD since you've moved into a particular home when they didn't have it before. Maybe suddenly you have back and neck problems when before moving you didn't have them. So all of these things can be a result of misalignment in Feng Shui energies. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, if you're working from home, this is ideal. A lot of times I get people who don't seem to be able to manage their finances. Yeah, money come, money go. That's a big, big problem with a lot of people these days. And this is something that can fairly easily be fixed with Feng Shui. Or, you know, maybe not fixed to 100%, but we can minimize the problem and actually identify what causes it. And the moment you know the root cause, we can start fixing it. Any sort of health problems, obviously I'm not a doctor, so I'm not replacing any medical advice. I'm not replacing any doctor, but Feng Shui is a modality that can complement medical treatment and make sure that, let's say, you recover faster from a surgery. After a surgery, you go home and make sure you recover faster and don't relapse. Or, you know, if you are suffering from a low immune system, we can also help strengthen your immune system with Feng Shui. Sleeping problems are very, very common and are quite simply, quite easy to fix. Family problems, arguments, relationship problems, all of these things can be minimized with Feng Shui. Yeah, if you have a particular feature in that litigation and argument sector in your home, you will always have arguments at home. Yeah, so all you need to do is maybe check where that argument litigation energy is, and maybe not spend so much time there or weaken it with a particular Feng Shui remedy. Now, for those of you who have children at home, you may want to make sure that your children do better at school, have better academic results. Again, that's something that can be adjusted or helped with Feng Shui. Or you know exactly what you want. Maybe you had a Bazi reading with me and I told you this is what you need to do. But somehow you can't get your act together. Somehow you can't get the focus or the energy to do certain things. And that's very often because what you should be doing is not aligned with the energies in your home. So the moment we bring that in alignment, things will just click into place. If you work with a team, you need the team to be more productive. You need to make sure that they're working well together and that there's not just one lone ranger who just does his or her thing. You need to work well as a team. And then obviously, you know, in a business sense, you want higher profit margins. That's usually every business, that's one of the things that every business wants to look into with Feng Shui. Now, there are many, many, many other reasons for why you would want to get a Feng Shui audit, but these are some of the main reasons. All right. Now, if you do want to book your Feng Shui audit, I will be coming to Dubai or to the UAE at the end of May. I think Lisa might have told you the dates already. I think it's May 22nd to May 26th. And for all those who are attending the webinar today, we are giving a special discount of 1,000 dirham. So if you want to pre-book your audit within the next 24 hours, get in touch with Lisa and she will handle all the rest and make all the necessary arrangements. All right, so let's see. Do you guys have any questions? Anything that you may want to clarify with me to see whether a Feng Shui audit is even suitable for you? Any questions at all?
Yeah.
Yes,
Susanne,
Mike.
Susanne, first of all, fantastic presentation. Thank you. Very
Thank you.
informative. And yeah, I like your common sense approach. I do like it. If there's an area of my business, and I might speak for a few people on this call, the sales process, you know, my sales process is pretty robust. I've got a good funnel, good process. But when it comes to closing business, sometimes it can stall, and I seem to have this blockage. Is that a common thing that you find with business owners, and would a Feng Shui audit help?
Yes, we can help with that. So oftentimes, you know, as you said, the sales process has different steps. So, you know, generating leads, then actually contacting clients, and then closing the sales ultimately, you know, to simplify the process. But yeah, for each one of these steps, you need to tap into different types of energies, right? So closing the deal or closing the contract, making sure that you actually close a client. Yes, that's definitely something we can look into with Feng Shui.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Susanne. Sorry, I have a similar question. So with my issue, my company is still kind of in a startup mode, but I mean we've been running for 2 years, but we've grown quite a lot and quite quickly. My issue is that the sales have grown tremendously in the last 2 years, but my expenses seem to grow exactly in line with my sales constantly.
Yeah.
And you know, in my head, I'm thinking it's just like a tough part of getting through the startup phase. Maybe in year 3 or year 4, it will significantly improve. Or is there, you know, something happening? Because every time we increase our sales, something always comes up in terms of expense.
Yeah, I get that a lot. This is usually this is an energy that so if either your sales team or you yourself are located in an area of your office that pertains to cash outflow. You usually have more money flowing out than in.
Yeah.
And so usually all you need to do is actually sit somewhere else and not expose yourself to these energies. Or take a look what is actually located in that area that contains this particular energy. If you happen to have an aquarium there, then this is like supercharged. And so no matter what you do on your end, as long as there is an aquarium, for example, there's nothing you can do. Yeah, the money is just going to go out. So, you know, in Feng Shui, we're not necessarily fighting particular energies because that's still exhausting. We try to remove ourselves from the energies that we don't want or don't need and tap into more positive ones. So in your case, we would obviously look at where are these energies that pertain to just losing money and remove whoever is there or remove whatever feature is there.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, any other questions?
How long does the audit take?
The audit itself is very straightforward. Well, I usually say it takes an hour, but it's rarely that long. I just walk through the premises. I take a look at the relevant areas of your home or your office, take a few measurements. So, you know, between half an hour and an hour. And then on my end, it's then another, I would say between 25, 30 hours just to actually do all the calculations, make sure that I draft a report for you that contains all the information that you need. The report shows you exactly what is happening, why it's happening the way it is happening, and what you can do to change it. Yeah, it will give very, very precise remedies. Lisa knows a lot about that because she's run through all of that. And usually once you get the report, we'll have another Zoom call to just discuss and clarify any questions that you may have, because, you know, we want to make sure that you actually do implement the remedies the way that they are described and not just sort of like half-assed doing it, and then it's not going to help.
If I may jump into this, I have a sample report so that everybody, if anybody's curious about what a report looks like, I can share it. But when Susanne says that it takes maybe 30 hours, it's because it really is. You receive a report that is probably 80 pages long with a lot of information, and it's not only about remedies, it's also about your personal directions, and with this information you can also make decisions or boost the energy, whether you need before a meeting or during a Zoom call, or perhaps on a particular day to have a little bit more of a boost, as Susanne was mentioning. But it's a very comprehensive report with everything, images of your home, images of the outside of your home, and an explanation of why, so that everybody also understands. And it's also very easy to digest. It is just a lot of information because you need a lot of information.
Can I just ask a random question? Thanks, Lisa. And it'd be great to see the report. This is going to sound odd, but we have 6 cats indoors and occasionally they misbehave. Does Feng Shui have an impact on that? In a positive way?
No, I don't think I have any influence over cats and pets.
That would be a really unique selling point.
I might have to look into specializing in that area.
we will be very happy.
Well, I mean, that being said, if they are located, if they have a very particular sleeping spot, and that sleeping spot is one that is hyperactive, it will make them it will make them more active, of course, you know. So
okay, cool. No, that's fine.
But there's no specific cat Feng Shui, I'm afraid.
I've got one here. I'm just talking to her. Yeah. All right. Thanks. I'll shut up now.
You're welcome.
I do have some questions. It's Mariana. So basically now that as Lisa mentioned, I'm soon to open the salon. Obviously the construction is already done, and it will be if there is, let's say, you mentioned the back and front door, if there is some wall or blockage, and I remember Lisa on our like session also, she mentioned and she removed some wall or something. So obviously, as a ladies salon in United Arab Emirates, we're not allowed to expose like clients. It must be some wall to a little bit cover the entrance, so reception is only open. And there is any alternatives that we can do to like, you know, if something is not possibly done, to like literally reconstruct or you know, like do to break down the wall? There is another alternatives we can do?
No. As I mentioned, you don't, I would say 99% of the cases, you do not need to knock down a wall. Yeah,
Okay.
that is not necessary in most cases, unless, let's say, you tell me, look, I own the place and do whatever you want to just get me perfect feng shui. In that case, I really, you know,
Go extra.
go the extra mile. But most of us don't have that luxury. I mean, in my place, I don't have that luxury. So you can do a lot of things without breaking down a wall. It's just about managing the qi flow. You know, you can put in artificial barriers by, let's say, putting a console there with a nice flower arrangement. And so that redirects the qi, or you put a room divider somewhere to redirect the qi. None of that involves knocking down a wall or building up a wall necessarily. So you don't need to be afraid of that. And I mean, I don't know whether you've ever been to Hong Kong, but Hong Kong is not known for vast space. And most of the businesses that I work with, they have very limited space, and we need to work within those limitations. And as I said, there are many different formulas in feng shui that we can use depending on the environment we work in and depending on the limitations that we're faced with.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, anything else?
If anybody at some point has additional questions, you can always WhatsApp me, and I will do my best to answer them. And if I cannot answer them, then I will ask Susanne, and Susanne will answer them. But just a little bit of information. I did this Feng Shui audit for my house because I have a home office, and because when we moved into the new house, there was a lot of conflict. It was a lot of conflict. It got really bad, especially between me and Peter. So one of the objectives of my Feng Shui audit was also to have family harmonics to its best. And after we implemented the remedies, everything changed. I mean, really, it was like a complete different vibe in the house. It was just so chilled, and just everybody was getting along. The girls were not fighting. I wasn't fighting with Peter. It was just so nice to be in the house. And I don't know, with business, I started getting a lot more leads and more of really cool connections. I mean, this week I had an event with Jimmy Choo. I still don't know how they found me. And the lady was like, I think I found you on Google. I mean, it was just out of the blue, but just all these really cool connections started appearing all of a sudden. So I really, for me, it really works. And that's why I thought we need to share this with more people, because it's amazing. It really is like having an Aladdin lamp and say, okay, what do you want? You want more money? You want more love? You want more kids? What do you want? And it's just a matter of working with the energy. That's it.
Yes, and putting the right action behind it. Yeah, that's always key. A lot of people think that, okay, I'm just going to feng shui my house and then I don't have to do anything. But the key is, yes, arrange the energies, adjust the energies, but then also act in accordance with the new vibe that you now have. Then it really works, and it becomes very powerful. All right, so I guess you guys, if you have any questions, Lisa is becoming more and more of an expert in terms of feng shui. So just get in touch with her. I think, do I have the dates right, Lisa? Is it May 22nd to May 26th, I think, right? That's when I'm in Dubai or in the UAE.
Yes.
So yeah, we accept bookings on a first come first serve basis. Obviously, I'm only going to be there for 6 days, so that doesn't leave that much time. But yeah, I'll be around and happy to help.
Thank you.
Correct.
All right.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Lisa. I really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you very
Yes.
much. It was brilliant. Very insightful.
Very welcome. All right. Have a
Thank
lovely
you.
day.
See you
And see you
soon.
guys. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So
Yeah, I recorded with my phone as well, just in case, you know, I wanted to be prepared. for
okay, okay. So hopefully we get a few people out of that.
Yes, yes. So I am going to send the recording to the people that didn't attend. I'm just going to actually, hold on.